Good afternoon, everyone. As the host already let's started off talking about the topic, I just wanted to start off by giving you the most recent update which we had about the same-sex marriage, the marriage equality row, wherein on October 17th of 2023, Supreme Court denied the legalization of same-sex marriage for same-sex couples in India. And today we are going to talk with individuals from the community, and we will understand how it impacts economically, how it impacts the social fabric through their lived experiences. So yeah, I think I should dive directly into it by asking my very first question, which is a very common question for all three of you, which will be, what were your first reactions when you came to know that there was a same-sex marriage appeal being, a petition being filed? You would like to go ahead?
Yeah, the fact that, earlier there were a lot of petitions filed in different courts all over India, Delhi High Court, Bombay High Court, Chennai High Court, Ahmedabad High Court, and various other places. But it was good that all the petitions were compiled together and under the leadership of Chief Justice of India, Mr. Chandrachud, he kind of decided that they would, get all the petitions from various courts into Supreme Court, because ultimately all petitions were asking for the same justice. So there was no point, elongating the matter by filing petitions in different courts, so that it would make the, faster, judgment, as well as less time wasted and less money also wasted. So that was something good which took place. But of course, as you mentioned, when the judgment came out, I was actually very disappointed. I wasn't expecting that, we would be getting a judgment which would be not giving us the right, fair and free and fair judgment based on what the petitions and what of the hearings have happened. But I would have thought at least some saving grace would have been given to us in some terms, but I was kind of disappointed.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. DeAndre, would you like to go next?
Thank you, I'm DeAndre, the Duke of Hanyamanteshwar. I'll just give you a quick briefing of what that means. So when I married into India as an American to Mavindra Singhal, I was titled as the Duke of Hanyamanteshwar, which is a property that was established in 1925. We're going to be celebrating 100 years of this establishment that's still within the family. That being said, when marriage equality petition was filed, I was extremely excited because I have no rights in India. I have responsibilities in India to my family because my family's Indian and I'm married into their family, but I have no rights here. So during the pandemic, I was asked to leave. My visa was canceled. There was a lot of stress given not having rights, but having responsibilities. So when it came through that there was a petition was filed and accepted at the Supreme Court level, it was very promising. Watching it move forward and watching constitutional morals and the morality of constitutional identity come alive after 2010 moving forward in India gave me great hope. And great disappointments came when the Supreme Court said no, and giving it back to the legislative process, which is understandable because most constitutional countries in the world have given marriage equality to their citizens through the legislation policies. But a few have went through the constitutional routes. And I think that one of that would be best for India would be through its constitutional routes of the courts, because lived experience brings you biases and bigotry. And if you don't understand your own constitutional identity in terms of the governance that the leadership is seeking to govern the people, then you're not going to be able to give a fair opportunity to that lived document of the Constitution. Once the rights are established for the citizens, then it's easier for the people to get behind what that means to govern that constitutional responsibility. So I look forward to seeing how this will continue to move forward and the opportunities that India will have based on its constitution.
Thank you so much for answering that so well. Zoya?
So I think before we get to what the verdict was, when the petition was filed, and we do have Zainab, one of the petitioners, I know some of them personally, like I knew Harish, I know Utkarsh, so kudos to them actually for really bringing this up. There was a lot of hope that was born. I think hope is a very weird space to be in because you are believing ki ho sakta hai, and you move into the space of faith, you know, and that kind of becomes a little problematic. Especially having paid attention in my civics class, I knew that the court might eventually still give it to the government because they cannot create laws, they can amend to certain extents, and I think that's what also out of the 3 or 2 judges basically said. But I think what this marriage equality petitions and the whole verdicts does is that it, over the whole long journey of kind of putting things into place, the language that was spoken or the words that came out in the verdict really pave way to what will happen at the in the legislative assemblies. So I think that's still a win. I know it can get demotivating and demoralizing when you're going back and forth, but I think kudos to Zainab, kudos to all the petitioners, and I think eventually we'll get marriage equality. So let's not be disheartened. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I also think that this entire process gave us a lot of area to work with, gave us a lot of opportunity as well, wherein we can find the gaps which were there. You know, may it be the language that was used, may it be the remarks that was made, and which showed that there was so much of lagging of sensitization, lagging of basic understanding of identities in general. Right. Zainab, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
The question was, what were your first reactions when you came to know that the same-sex marriage petition was filed?
Okay, so for me, it did not come as a surprise, except for the fact that I was already a petitioner when we previously filed it in the Delhi High Court. At that point of time, I was a resident of Delhi. So when all of these petitions, and for those who are familiar and tracking the developments of this marriage equality case, right from the days in Delhi or Kerala, etc., will know that it is a long drawn process. The Union of India, when responding to the case in Delhi, just kept on adjourning the case. And we knew this was going to be a very, very long fight. And then came this opportune moment for us to be tagged along with other petitions. So close to about 20 odd petitions and 50 odd people who were part of that petition tagged all of their petitions together and went to the Supreme Court. In fact, I remember this very clearly that I used to live in Delhi along with Lakshmi and Aryan. And one day I got a call from the society, the society gate saying that the police has come with some summons for you. And I said, summons for me? And what did I do to get the summons? In that sense, I was a bit surprised, and then came this thing that okay, we've been able to file this petition, and it gave us hope. But there were 2 possible scenarios. One, that we win in Delhi High Court, and this would be challenged in the Supreme Court, and would either get a stay on the judgment, or we win the case, or we lose the case. The second thing is that we lose in Delhi High Court and go and appeal in Supreme Court. Now, since all of these petitions were tagged together and we went to the court, I must say that while I was cautiously anticipating some favorable response and the minor win that transgender persons who are in cisgender relationships are able to marry under any of the existing marriage laws. I see that as a small win, but we knew that this is going to be a long drawn process, especially in terms of all the rhetoric and the hate that was directed towards us, whether it came in from the government council or the other petitioning lawyers in the case. It was absolutely amazing to see the kind of rhetoric being used on a daily basis to target us, what we call urban naxals and urban elite and stuff like that. And we should look at their funding. Where is the funding coming from? And I had to tell them the funding is coming out from my salary. So all of these things coming in together. Someone had actually made a very interesting name, and it was circulating on Twitter as to how much do these lawyers actually charge their clients on an hourly basis or a presentation in court. And the fact is that, at least I can say for most of the people that I know, that the lawyers did not charge us a fee. We paid court fees and document fees, etc., so on and so forth. So there was a misinformation campaign specifically targeted at us. But these were some of my initial thoughts, right from the Delhi High Court days to the time we got a chance to present our case in front of the Supreme Court.
Yes, Vinnie,
Thank you so much.
thank you, Zainab, for being one of the petitioners. I think what this did, and I missed out saying, is the sensitization that the telecasting and streaming did. It kind of made it a dinner table conversation. And I think that itself is again a big win, because at least we are able to talk about it in a much more open forum, which otherwise was still in the documentation process stuff. So I think kudos to that sensitization for the general population of India.
And I think we have never seen such kind of telecasting happening before in the previous times where we were fighting, let's say, for 377 or for Nalsa judgment as well. We have never seen such telecasting happening, and it definitely helped in a way to advocate, but also it came with a lot of hate and trolling as well, right? So thank you so much, Zainab, first of all, for filing the plea and also for sharing your first thoughts.